Hi there, and welcome to This Day in History for October 12th. Things have been a little scattered for me the last few days with plumbers in the house, getting my house entirely repiped in PEX because the old galvanized steel pipes just finally gave out. Yikes. It hadn't been that much fun, but it hadn't been as bad as it could have been either. I think we're hooked up. I've got hot water. I've got laundry going right now, I hope. And now I'm going to read today's This Day in History for you for October 12th. And we're going to start back in 1492 when Christopher Columbus set foot on the New World. 2 months after he'd set sail from Spain with crews on 3 ships, the Pinta, the Nina, and the Santa Maria, Columbus spotted land that he believed was Japan. He had, in fact, set foot on what is now the Bahamas. Claiming that he was the first one to set sight on the lands, he declared the lands as being owned by the Spanish Empire. 1609, the song Three Blind Mice is published in London and believed to be the earliest printed secular song. 1692, the Salem witch trials were ended. 1786, Thomas Jefferson composes a romantic letter. On October 12, 1786, a lovesick Thomas Jefferson composed a romantic and introspective letter to a woman named Maria Causeway. Early in 1786, he had met her in Paris while he was serving as the U.S. Minister to France. He was utterly smitten with her, but she was quite married. They wrote back and forth for a bit, nothing too hot, but he did talk about how nice it would be when someday in the future they might be together. Once he returned to America, though, and busied himself with the governmental matters of the fledgling United States, his letters became less frequent and less romantic, and he finally resolved that his love for her was better left in the fond memories department. In 1810, the first Oktoberfest. Bavarian royalty invited the citizens of Munich to celebrate their wedding. I guess they had so much fun that they decided to do it again and have been doing so ever since, and not just in Germany either. In 1870, Civil War era American General for the Confederacy, Robert E. Lee, died peacefully at home in Lexington, Virginia at age 63. 1875, English occultist, ceremonial magician, poet, painter, novelist, and mountaineer Aleister Crowley was born in Warwickshire, England on this day in 1875. In 1918, a fire rages in Minnesota. A massive forest fire rages through Minnesota on October 12, 1918, killing hundreds of people and leaving thousands homeless. The fire burned at least 1,500 square miles. In 1933, Alcatraz becomes a federal prison. In 1935, Luciano Pavarotti, Italian operatic tenor, was born in Modena, Italy. 1940, silent film star Tom Mix died in an Arizona car wreck, brained by the suitcase of death. On October 12, 1940, cowboy movie star Tom Mix was killed when he lost control of his speeding Ford Phaeton convertible and rolled into a dry wash, now called the Tom Mix Wash, near Florence, Arizona. He was 60 years old. The Hollywood bio for this star was that he was a genuine cowboy and swaggering hero of the Wild West, born in Texas, fighting in several wars, a sheriff, a marshal. But the truth is that he was born in Mix Run, Pennsylvania, deserted the Army in 1902, and was a drum major in the Oklahoma Territorial Cavalry Band when he went off to Hollywood in 1909. None of these inconvenient facts prevented Mix from becoming one of the greatest silent film stars in history, however. Along with his famous horse Tony, Mix made 370 full-length westerns. At the peak of his fame, he was the highest-paid actor in Hollywood, earning as much as $17,500 a week, which would be the equivalent of over $200,000 today. Unfortunately, Mix and Tony had a hard time making the transition to talking pictures. Some people say that his voice was so high-pitched that it undermined his macho cowboy image. But others argue that sound films simply had too much talking for Mix's taste, that he preferred wild action sequences to heartfelt conversation. On the day he died, Mix was driving north from Tucson in his beloved bright yellow Cord Phaeton sports car. He was driving so fast that he didn't notice or failed to heed signs warning that one of the bridges was out on the road ahead. The Phaeton swung into a gully and Mix was smacked in the back of the head by one of the heavy aluminum suitcases he was carrying in the convertible's back seat. The impact broke his neck and he died almost instantly. Today, the dented suitcase of death is the featured attraction in the Tom Mix Museum in Dewey, Oklahoma. 1945, Conscientious Objector, awarded Medal of Honor. A conscientious objector, by the way, is someone who has claimed the right to refuse to perform military service on the grounds of freedom of thought, conscience, or religion. Private First Class Desmond T. Doss of Lynchburg, Virginia, was presented the Congressional Medal of Honor for outstanding bravery as a medical corpsman, the first conscientious objector in American history to receive the nation's highest military award. 1960, Nikita Khrushchev's famous shoe-pounding incident. The first secretary of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union removed his shoe and pounded it on the table during a UN General Assembly meeting in New York. The incident was thought to be a response to comments about freedoms in Eastern Europe made by the Filipino delegate Lorenzo Sumalong. That Khrushchev had a spicy temper on him. 1964, first multiperson spaceflight. Soviet spacecraft Voskhod 1 carried 3 cosmonauts for the first time to space. It was also the first time the crew did not wear any space suits for the duration of the flight. 1968, Hugh Jackman, Australian actor and singer, was born in Sydney, Australia. 1970, President Richard Nixon announces the pullout of 40,000 more American troops from Vietnam by Christmas time. 1979, Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy hits bookstores. The first in a trilogy of 5, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, or H2G2, is a popular comedy science fiction novel that was first created as a radio show in 1978 for BBC Radio 4. The show and the book follow the intergalactic adventures of Arthur Dent, who escapes Earth's destruction. He's accompanied by several other characters, including an alien called Fort Prefect, Marvin the Depressed Robot, and the Vogons, who are responsible for destroying the Earth. 1983, Tanaka, Japan's former prime minister, is found guilty of taking a $2 billion, that's billion with a B, $2 billion bribe from Lockheed. 1997, John Binford died when his experimental amateur aircraft crashed into Monterey Bay on the California coast. He was 53. 1999, the day of 6 billion. The proclaimed 6 billionth living human in the world is born on this date. Also, in 1999, the American basketball player Wilt Chamberlain died. Wilt the Stilt. He was 63. And that's going to wrap it up for us today, this day in history, October 12th. Thank you so much for watching. As always, links to my research are listed in the show notes, along with the physical address. Give it a like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. And feel free to share this video if you found it interesting or informative. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. On October, okay, with the notifications. Oh, this is why I don't do live shows. Oh my. 7? Oh boy, we got our years mixed up. I missed that part. Oh, dang it. I forgot to put his name in there. I'm going to have to look at that. So, plumbing happens. PA. Why do I always say it that way?